Imagine waking up one morning, stepping outside and looking up at the sky, only to see the stars subtly shifting, bending around an invisible force you can't name. The moon seems dimmer. The sun hangs heavy and distorted. Birds don't sing. The air feels different, thicker, like the sky is holding its breath. And in the stillness, something deep inside you, primal, instinctual, begins to scream that something is wrong. But no one knows what, not at first. People scroll through their phones like it's just another day, sipping coffee, arguing in traffic, going about their lives as if the ground beneath their feet isn't already trembling under cosmic pressure. But in the world's observatories, in the dead silence of deep space signals, scientists are already piecing it together. A black hole is coming, not a concept, not a theory, not a speck in some distant corner of the universe. It's real, it's near, and it's hungry. And suddenly, all those years we spent staring into the night, wondering what lies beyond. It's staring back. Black holes, the universe's dark hearts. They don't chase or hunt. They wait, silent, cold, impossibly patient. Millions of them scattered like cosmic landmines across our galaxy, born from the deaths of stars too massive to survive their own brilliance. When they die, they collapse, not into ashes or ruin, but into something darker, something that doesn't shine, something that takes. One of them, just 3,000 light years away, shines invisibly with the power to consume, to erase, to rewrite the rules of everything we understand. It's a name we don't speak with fear because it feels too far away to matter. But what if one day one of them wasn't? What if by accident or fate or some cruel twist of physics, a black hole made its way into our neighborhood? Maybe we created one ourselves, too curious for our own good, building machines to test the boundaries of reality, never thinking the result might be a tear in it. Or maybe it drifted silently through space, a rogue remnant of some ancient supernova, nameless and vast and invisible, until it found us. It doesn't need to be big, not even close. A black hole the size of a pinhead, a single millimeter wide, could spell our end. Its mass, its gravity, its hunger, all packed into something you could barely see, yet powerful enough to turn our planet into dust. You wouldn't hear it coming. No thunder, no quake, just the slow pull. At first, satellites would go quiet. The moon might slip slightly out of orbit. Tides would swell and crash in strange, chaotic ways. The atmosphere would shift, slowly at first, like a whisper, then violently, and then the sky would change. From one side of the earth, the stars would bend, light curving around something that isn't there. And on the other side, daylight might never come again. A curtain of shadow would begin to fall. Not because the sun was gone, but because space itself was being stretched and swallowed. Then the earth would start to scream. Not a sound you could hear, not at first, but in the ground, in the oceans, in the heart of the planet. Everything would begin to tear. Gravity wouldn't feel right anymore. You'd lean into the wind, but it would blow from beneath you. You'd run, but the world would pull back harder. And somewhere someone would ask, "Is this it?" And the answer would be yes. Because black holes don't just destroy planets, they unmake them. Piece by piece, our atmosphere would rise into space, sucked like a breath into lungs that never exhale. The oceans would churn and vanish, rising into ribbons of steam, then ice, then nothing. Cities would crumble. Skyscrapers, bridges, homes, all pulled skyward and shredded into atoms. But worst of all wouldn't be what we could see. It would be what we couldn't. The event horizon. The line you cross where nothing, not light, not time, not hope, comes back. Once you pass it, there's no escape. It's not just a trap, it's a goodbye. If Earth drifted too close, we'd be pulled past that line. First, the side of the planet nearest the black hole would stretch toward it, pulled like taffy. The crust would crack. Fires would erupt. The core would boil. Then the entire planet would elongate, slowly and agonizingly, in a process scientists call, with a sense of cruel poetry, spaghettification. but no one would be around to name it. Not really. You wouldn't be ripped apart in a second. You'd feel the tension, your feet pulled harder than your head, your bones straining, your blood trying to move in two directions. The sky would twist, your voice wouldn't carry. Time would begin to slow. For you. From the outside, it would look like you froze, hanging motionless just before the event horizon, forever on the edge. And then, nothing. No explosion, no flash, no hero's farewell. Just erasure. Quiet, total, complete. But maybe, just maybe, some of us would survive long enough to see what came next. Because falling into a black hole isn't just death, it's mystery. On the other side of that event horizon, the rules break. Physics falls apart. Light, gravity, space, time, all the things we use to define reality, dissolve. And what's left is something we can't understand yet, but we still try. We build telescopes, we launch satellites, we send questions into the dark, even when we don't know if they'll be answered. Because deep down, humans are the only creatures bold or foolish enough to look into the mouth of a black hole and wonder, what if? And maybe that's what this story's really about. Not just endings, not just fear, but curiosity. The unshakable, beautiful need to know what lies beyond the veil, even if it means risking everything to find out. There's something strange about how we face disaster. Even as the world teeters on the edge, there's a part of us that clings to the ordinary. That makes coffee. That goes to work. That believes tomorrow will look like today. But when a black hole enters the picture, there is no tomorrow. There is no next chapter. Just a growing shadow that swallows every page. The first signs wouldn't be chaos. They'd be confusion, a few power outages, satellites drifting slightly off course, strange glitches in GPS, compasses that begin to stutter and spin, birds migrating in the wrong direction, the tides no longer predictable. At first, scientists would scramble for explanations. Solar flares, magnetic storms, system failures. But then, the truth would unfold like a slow, cosmic horror. A ripple in gravity, a bending of space, a pull that wasn't from the moon or the sun, but something else. And then the whisper becomes a scream. Telescopes detect the unthinkable, a void moving, blacker than night, darker than death. No light escapes it, no answers return, just gravity, so dense it bends reality itself, a stellar black hole, or worse, a supermassive one. Somewhere, deep in the silence of space, it's moving toward us. And it doesn't care. We would try to warn the world. But how do you explain to 8 billion people that the sky is broken, that the universe has opened its mouth and we are drifting toward its teeth? People would panic. Of course they would, but not all at once. Some would deny it. Some would pray. Some would stockpile supplies, still thinking this was a disaster we could prepare for, like a storm or a war. But this is not a thing you survive. This is a thing that unravels you. Governments would fall silent, not out of secrecy, but out of helplessness. There would be no plan, no protocol, just a quiet recognition that all our tools, our machines, our armies mean nothing now. And then the earth would begin to fall, not like a rock, not like a plane, but like a feather on the wind of something enormous, unstoppable. Our orbit would distort, the seasons would shatter. The balance between us and the sun would begin to twist, and it wouldn't just be us. The entire solar system, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, all the familiar names in our textbooks would begin to dance in madness. Moons would be pulled free, spinning into deep space. Asteroids from the belt would tumble toward us, dragged along in the same spiral. The Earth would heat from within. Tidal forces from the black hole's uneven grip would stretch and squeeze the planet over and over again, like it was being wrung dry. The core would rage. Volcanoes would erupt. The ground would crack and scream. Earthquakes wouldn't just destroy cities. They'd rip continents in half. Floods, fires, famine, all at once. And then it gets worse. As the black hole grows closer, the Earth itself begins to tear. Not metaphorically, but literally. The side facing the black hole would be drawn forward, stretching, elongating, breaking apart. The atmosphere would strip away like mist in a hurricane. Oceans would rise into the sky and vanish into space. We'd begin to lose the sky. Stars would distort. The sun would warp into a crescent of light that wraps around darkness. Space would stop looking like space. It would shimmer, twist, like we were seeing through a broken mirror. And time would betray us. Closer to the black hole, time slows. For those near the edge, seconds become hours. Hours become days. Someone falling in might appear frozen forever, a ghost on the edge of nothing. But from their view, the world behind them would accelerate, flash forward, decay. You could watch the end of Earth in moments. The people, the buildings, the cities, all gone in a blink. While you, falling slowly toward oblivion, experience the longest seconds of your life. And then, spaghettification, a word that sounds almost ridiculous, almost too soft for what it means. But it's the perfect image. As gravity stretches you, atom by atom, you unravel. Your body becomes a thread. Your planet becomes a smear of matter spiraling into death. This is not how we thought the world would end. Not with fire or ice, not with war or disease, but with a whisper, a pull, a cosmic erasure. Everything we've built, our art, our music, our memories, all pulled into a singularity, crumpled into a dot smaller than the period at the end of this sentence. But even in those final moments, humans would look up, not in fear, but in wonder, because there's something else we'd feel in the pull of that black hole, something terrifying and beautiful, a sense that we are about to cross into something beyond ourselves, that all of human history, every love, every loss, every breath, is about to become part of something greater, even if we'll never know what it is. Some would say that's tragedy. Others might call it transcendence. But one thing is certain, it would be the end of everything we know, and possibly the beginning of something we never will. So what happens after the end? After the cities vanish? After the oceans rise into silence? After the Earth is no longer a sphere spinning in sunlight, but a stream of glowing dust spiraling toward a place where no story continues? What is left when everything that defined us, our home, our history, our hope, slips past the edge of forever? The truth is, no one knows, because beyond the event horizon, knowledge ends. Everything we've learned about physics, space, time, even light itself, it all collapses under the weight of a black hole. Our equations break, our theories fall apart. What's left is only speculation and wonder. Some believe it's just oblivion, that we'd be crushed to a point, our atoms shattered, our meaning lost in a singularity so dense it defies imagination. Others think we might pass through, into something else, a tunnel, a doorway, a new universe. Maybe in those last impossible moments, Earth wouldn't just die. Maybe it would transform. Every molecule, every memory, restructured into something new. Not destroyed, but rewritten. Imagine that. The idea that our end isn't a final breath, but a rebirth. That from our fall into darkness, something unthinkably strange and beautiful could emerge. A place where time flows backward, where gravity dances, where the laws that bind our reality are no longer laws at all, just suggestions. What if we're wrong about what black holes are? What if they aren't the universe's garbage disposals, but its wombs? What if each one holds the seed of a new cosmos, forged from the remains of another? What if somewhere out there, another version of Earth bloomed from a black hole like the one we just disappeared into? And what if we're already inside one? It's a question scientists have quietly asked for decades. What if the universe we live in, with its stars and galaxies and glowing edges, is the inside of a black hole born from another universe's death? What if everything we know is already suspended behind an event horizon, and we're just now beginning to realize it? It sounds impossible. It feels surreal. But so did the idea of black holes once. There was a time we thought the universe was still. that Earth was the center of it all, that stars were tiny lights hung in a firmament. And yet look how far we've come, peering billions of light years into the past, sending our voices on golden records into the void, chasing shadows we can't even see. And still, we ask, what if? What if the universe is more alive, more vast, more haunted by mystery than we ever imagined? What if black holes aren't monsters, but mirrors? They show us the limits of our power. They humble us. They remind us that for all our greatness, our cities, our technology, our stories, we are still so small, so fragile. A blue marble caught in a web of forces that care nothing for our dreams. But that's not a reason to fear. It's a reason to wonder. Because in that vastness, in that terrifying endless darkness, we shine. We dare to imagine. We dare to look into the abyss and not just tremble, but ask. And that's what makes us human. We are not defined by how we end. We're defined by how we question the end, by how we light our candles in the void, by how we turn the cold, indifferent silence of space into a place filled with meaning, with music, with laughter, with love. Even if everything we are gets pulled into the grip of a black hole, even if we vanish from the universe as suddenly as we arrived, we were here. We mattered. And maybe, just maybe, in some parallel universe forged from our collapse, someone will look into their sky and wonder about us. Maybe they'll find echoes, patterns, a frequency in the background radiation that hums with our final heartbeat. And maybe they'll wonder what it was like to be Earth, to be human, and the black hole, silent, unknowable, will keep our secret, not lost, but kept, forever drifting at the edge of understanding.